This time on American Forked.
My free government-supplied Chinese-made COVID test kit.
You called me this week. I'm like, no, I didn't. She's like, yeah, you called me from Mexico.
Back to the story of the truckers. What's the whole thing?
I talked about ghosts, or if I talked about UFOs, or if I talked about, these funky experiences that I experienced and saw for myself.
Welcome to the American Forked podcast. This is episode 54?
50-something for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In just over a year's worth of time. Right?
Yeah, I'm no mathematician, but it sounds right.
So, we're a group of not lifetime.
Yeah, we're not dead yet.
What was the word that we used?
We're longtime friends.
Longtime friends. Childhood friends, maybe.
74% of our lives.
Yeah, we grew up together. We grew up to be very different people. But even though we have different opinions and think each other's opinion is stupid, we still love each other and like to hang out. And we think America should be that way.
It's the same shit you said last time you hosted.
Yeah.
Why are you reusing stuff?
That's like a message we're trying to get out there, Trent.
Oh, I didn't realize that was on our shirt. That's a long shirt.
Yeah. Well, it goes all the way around from the front to the back.
For some of us, it goes all the way around. The others, it goes around 3 times.
It's a he's skinny and you're fat joke.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. For me, it's just the front half.
Yeah. It covers most of your C cup.
I'm going to point out that Phil is not wearing overalls today, which is really cool.
I'm not doing any work today.
Well done, Phil.
Yeah.
I just, you're usually cosplaying a Luigi.
But what year did you
you're
buy
not.
that shirt in? Or get that shirt?
Probably 2010, something like that.
It's almost vintage.
I call bullshit. I know it's below that.
It might be. American Eagle's been, defunct for like 25 years
That
now.
shirt is older than your phone.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, we have a special guest with us tonight, Ben Mecham. That's how you say your last name, right?
Correct.
Don't know if I've ever said it out loud, so I just
Do you just
said
say
it,
it?
but-
You just say it to yourself.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Mecham.
I just see it on my phone and emails and stuff, but never said the word. But Jeff is a good friend of Jeff's and a business partner,
That's right.
and he's got a wild life story to tell us that we're really excited for. We're going to hear more about that later, but first we do some of the local news, and if you have any opinion on anything we say, just chime in.
Well, who else is here, though?
Oh, well, I don't care about him.
Well, I do. Should I
I've got Jeff across from me. What's up, Jeff?
Hello. Doing good.
And the Holy Spirit man is here. What's up, Holy Spirit?
What's up? Glad to be back.
Yeah, and Trent is over here too. But anyway, on to some local news, even localer than local. Is
Your house?
news about me.
Oh,
Guess what came in the mail today?
was it a black?
Your wife.
My free government-supplied Chinese-made COVID test kits that I ordered online.
Wow.
Wow.
You don't believe in COVID.
Oh, yeah, I believe in COVID test kits.
So made it.
Is it the same stuff I use in my pool to check the chlorine?
I don't know. I didn't open them.
Oh.
They say they're in sealed packages, and once you open them to use them within an hour, they don't work anymore.
But wait, you just kind of glossed over this. Are they seriously made in China?
So you guys remember a couple weeks ago, it was Biden supplying 500 million free test kits.
Yes.
I was like, I'll check into that. So I get on the website. You just put your name and address in and click order, and it says you've ordered them. You don't put credit card in or anything. I was like, okay, we'll see if that works. And they came. So now
Are they made in China?
they are. That wasn't a
Gosh,
joke.
That's crazy.
So
I don't know why, but-
500 million bills to China.
Wow.
That's the only thing you own from China.
But I didn't pay for it.
That shirt, maybe.
Yeah, this shirt
that's-
probably
yeah,
is.
That's for the Philippines or Thailand, but
Yeah.
That's the news.
Yeah.
That's the story you have.
Aren't you excited?
Not really.
Now, when I think I have COVID, I can take a test that says on the box isn't as accurate as all the other ones you can get. So,
I thought you said COVID was terrible last time. You weren't going to get it again.
well,
Like you're a physical specimen.
but it was free, Trent.
Don't you
I
get
hate
it?
you right now.
Nothing's free.
That's
Phil.
right. Nothing's free. Every time the government says something's free, it just means that you're paying for it.
Or your
right?
grandkids or
Right.
something like that.
And we're supporting China. So
And
very
it's going
well
straight
done.
to China.
Good job.
I ordered
They need a
something
lot
that
of
supported China, although in my defense, it did not say made in China on the website. So
It said free. You didn't look beyond that.
It's in. You can't
Unless
attain.
it said free in Chinese, you would have no idea what would have happened.
You cannot attain free unless China's involved. Everyone knows that.
on to the next personal news.
You're pregnant.
You have more personal news.
Yeah, I've got a good story. Oh
gosh.
So, well, yeah.
No,
it's
you're
pretty
going to
good.
say it now.
We can cut it out if it's too boring.
I
but-
hope it is.
Click.
Okay. So my shop is behind my grandmother's house, and I go in and check on her throughout the day. And I go in, and she's on the phone with my dad, and it sounds like something's wrong. And she gets off the phone with me, and she says, "I just got a call from what I thought was your brother, my brother, saying, Grandma, I just got in a terrible car accident. My face is messed up. That's why I kind of sound like this.
Oh, send me some money.
I got to get out on bail, blah, blah, blah." And she says, she's like, "Well, you need to call your dad and talk to him." He says, "Oh, I don't want to call him. He'll yell at me."
Which is probably pretty true. and
Yeah.
Your brother tried to scam your grandma?
So that's what I thought. And then anyway, long story short, it was a scam. So my dad calls my brother 50 times. He's working. Finally calls him back "What's going on?" He's like, "You're in a car accident." He's like, "Nope."
Yeah.
So then they were like, "Oh, okay." Obviously it was a scam, but watch over your grandmother, people. People are out there trying to get them.
So my grandma is 94 years old, and she, this is probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I came over to her house, and she's like, "Oh, I have a story to tell you." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You called me this week." I'm like, "No, I didn't." She's like, "Yeah, you called me from Mexico." And I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" So she got a phone call from Mexico saying that I was in jail and I got arrested and I needed some money to get bailed out. And it's for bribe money or whatever. And so they wanted her to wire money. The first thing she started doing in her 90-year-old, still very nimble mind was started asking her questions about when I was little. Over the phone. She's like, "What was your parrot's name when you were a little kid? Do you remember what your parrot's name was?" Of course, the guy didn't know. And then it's like, "Oh, well, what was the name of your dog that you used to have? You remember his name?" It's asking all these questions. He had no idea. And so she's like, "Yeah, thank you very much. Bye." And just hung up.
Die in a jail,
Nice.
Jeff.
Wow.
Yeah, but she was funny. I thought she'd call me after and tell me, but I saw her a week or two later, and anyway, it is a real scam.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I feel like my mom would know it's a scam, but be like, "But they need the money."
Yeah, your mom would do that.
Yeah.
Can you
She'd
give me
be
your
like,
address?
Just tell me your real name. I
She's
want it
like,
to go right to you.
If you're doing this, you really do need help.
I'm going to send you a cake.
And some jam, some strawberry jam.
Plus the
I
story.
love your mom.
The story's so unreal. I mean, everybody in Mexico's over here now, so
Yeah, there's nobody
why
left.
would Jeff be there?
There's nobody over there.
That's an unreal
no
story for a
jailers.
lot of people. My parents would be like, "He's for sure in jail in Mexico."
Yeah.
That is
Anybody
totally
could call,
accurate, yes.
and they'd be like, "Okay."
Yeah, Trent needs help.
In fact, I'm going to start going down the list of your family members. See what I can get out of you.
Exactly.
Yeah, they'd be like, "What is he importing weed again?"
Still talk with him. Graduate out of this.
No, it's just probably public nudity. That's probably why Trent would go to jail.
In Mexico, it's more weird to cover it up.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Just me.
I don't know. See you in jail.
See you in jail. So on to some. So we all grew up together in a town called American Fork, Utah. We usually like to do some American Fork news just to reminisce and
If you've made it through 54 episodes without figuring that out.
yeah.
Well,
Or-
this might be someone's first episode.
Maybe it's your first episode. So American Fork, 2 dogs were rescued there this week.
Stories are so lame all the time.
2 dogs rescued after spending 3 days in American Fork Canyon. The pups had been stranded for 3 days when the owners decided to reach out to the community for help, and then someone found them.
I hope that's the end of
end.
the story.
That
Okay,
is the end.
What's next?
They found them.
The follow-up story should be, and the parents are in jail 3 days. before you follow up.
You know what's funny about this though is this is the kind of story you would expect from a smaller town city like American Fork.
Yeah.
When I lived in Boston, I would hear about somebody would tell me, yeah, my neighbor just got shot in a drive-by shooting and they're dead. Oh my gosh! And I turn the news on that night, and it's like a building burned down in the Lower East Side, and 2 dogs were stranded inside. We couldn't find them, and everyone was really worried.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Someone just got shot and killed, though. That's not even on the news. The dogs were on the news.
Right.
But dogs are people, too.
People love bitches.
The things that die that we care about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could totally just elaborate on that story that it was 2 people that actually identify as dogs.
There you
know
go.
what I mean?
Yeah. 2 people that identify as dogs and
We can call
are
bitches
as short
women.
as dogs.
Okay.
Click.
Wow.
Now I can't even think of what to say next.
Holy Spirit, help us, please.
So we're gonna skip.
Bring us to heaven.
We're gonna skip straight on to a little bit international.
Wait, I got some Utah news.
okay,
I mean,
go
you
ahead.
roped yourself into all your news stories, so
That's
here
fine.
it goes. I don't know what the exact terminology is, but I spoke at a Utah legislative session today for a bill
Oh, did
to
you?
get passed. Yeah, like at the Capitol.
Why don't you tell us? We
Well,
could have recorded it for the podcast.
Hey,
Yeah.
remember when I was telling you right now?
Oh,
Remember
yeah,
that?
That's a good point.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll shut up.
Oh, well,
Shut your
why
face.
didn't you record it
Oh, are we recording?
or
Hello?
tell us so we could
Hello?
so we could go to it?
So, I guess I could have. No, I was actually on via Zoom because,
Oh,
that's a thing.
COVID.
So, anyways, I got this phone call last week, and it was actually really cool to me. It was a Democrat that's in the area, and this is the Utah legislation, but there's a Democrat from Cottonwood Heights that called me because of the company. And she's like, hey, I wanted to talk to somebody about helping support my bill and maybe speaking at this legislative hearing. And I'm like, okay. I just thought it was super cool that she reached out to me. Anyway, I'll give you the quick version of everything. But basically, there's a bill that's out there in Utah to translate the driver's license test to a bunch of other languages because currently it's only available in one language. And that's English, if you were guessing. You were right.
What are the street signs in?
English. No, it's in English, obviously, but and that actually came up in the meeting. So every other state translates their written test into multiple languages, but Utah does not. Unless you're a refugee or seeking asylum, then they hire a translator to work with you and get you through that test. So
You said every other state does?
yeah, like all the surrounding states was all the ones that were
okay.
quoted. So Idaho, Nevada,
Wyoming.
Wyoming, right.
I get it.
So anyways, the bill went on to the next phase. I don't know what that is. It's not like it became bill because this was in like a hearing. It was in like a transportation hearing. So I think it goes to the floor to be voted on it now at this point, which is kind of cool. Like I took part in that. I feel like it was cool. It's way cooler than Phil's stories. I promise you that.
I'm waiting for
Wait,
that
let's
cool
vote.
part. Let's.
Oh, no, that was it. So
Oh.
I basically just... it was cool that it advanced. That's what
So
I was
wait,
talking
Why
about.
didn't the Mormon people support this? Like, we're out there recruiting foreigners constantly, Philip, right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we support other languages?
I don't know why
As
it wasn't
equal.
a thing.
The only logical disagreement that came up was what you already brought up, which was they need to learn the language to a degree to be able to navigate the roads correctly. Speed limit, blah, exit, blah.
So
you know
all
what I mean?
the people
that
up
information.
to current who don't read or speak English, they've just been flying through signs. and
870 miles per hour on our freeways.
Interesting, but probably in kilometers. So I mean,
Yeah,
not super
so it's like
fast.
30 miles per
it's
hour.
fine.
But yeah, the Utah Highway Patrol that basically said, we're neutral about this, but they basically said this, and I'm paraphrasing everything because I don't remember exactly what was said, but we're neutral on this point because they don't want to be political about it. But we do see a lot of people on the roads, regardless of whether they have licenses or not, and foreigners. And so opening the door for them to be able to get the license would help.
Yeah, why wouldn't we want to train them to drive well?
Right.
Like, what's the downside?
Well, that was the only logical argument that came up to me was that. I mean, there's some other things brought up, but it was more just questions.
You use logical in a weird way
logical?
because that's not logical. Not say it weird. You say it fine.
Oh,
That's not logical. The sign, like you can learn like what looks like something to be there.
That's what I'm saying. It's so minute. That was the only thing that barely made any sense.
And in Utah, we go in numbers anyway.
Well, how do you like if a sign's? I mean, I guess I can't think of what signs look like. Are there signs that
Didn't
are
you
like
drive here?
that are like a railroad crossing ahead, or
But
or steep
that's a symbol.
steep curve?
It's not-
It's not.
It doesn't say steep curve. If you would pull out your thesaurus and go like, no, it's a fucking sign.
The only ones that are.
Icy bridge. That's a sign.
Very good.
Falling rocks ahead.
That is not. It normally has
That's a
that
thing.
rock over the car that's falling.
Road ends.
The icy bridge normally has that little car with the little slick thing behind it.
No, most of the words are like exits and stuff, like in cities. Like
I agree.
city is this way, but you're saying they can follow a number.
I'm saying if you're going somewhere, it's going to say Sandy. You're going to memorize what that looks like,
Or the numbers.
and you're going to find Sandy based on what it looks like.
I don't think so. I think if they can't read Sandy, they're just gonna like swerve halfway into the.
No one
road.
drives worse in this room than you.
I know.
Well, you
I'm
tell
just
us.
saying, if I couldn't read Sandy, that's what I would do.
Did they have signs in the Philippines?
Nope. They had that. That's actually a really interesting point. They don't have any visual law, like any law that I could discern while being in the Philippines.
Probably because you're a foreigner.
There's no
and you don't
street
speak the
signs.
language.
There's no lights.
Maybe
there's
you don't know how to read
anything.
signs.
Maybe there were no signs. There were no street lights. It was just like traffic that just like figured itself out, almost like a herd of cattle walking around each other.
The only worse driver in our group than you is Jake.
Oh, well,
And
what's up, Jake?
Hello. That's why I'm on a plane.
so I feel like you're the worst person to talk to about this.
Yeah,
You
well,
could put all the signs or no signs and you will still have no idea what's happening.
it was pretty horrifying because they would just be like flying around and people would just walk into the road and it was like somehow it all worked, but there was no like logical reason for it other than people would just stop before they hit something.
Like, don't kill someone, don't die.
Yeah.
Those are the two rules.
They're probably not texting. Like they're probably paying attention because they're about to murder somebody.
Right, exactly.
There you go. Anyway, that's the closest thing I have.
That
to
was cool.
Tony.
So I didn't catch the part why you were involved.
Well, okay, so a lady called the company and was like, "I'm sure this affects your business because it's a construction company."
Oh, that's right.
And so if you would like to help support me, then I'd love to have you come and speak on that.
So were they saying that a lot of people that are foreigners work in construction?
Yeah, exactly. No, I think it was just local businesses. They got some other people together from different organizations and businesses to kind of chime in. But the point for me to bring it up was, and I've actually witnessed this with our subcontractors, I'm sure Ben can agree, is like they have to go pick people up that don't have rides or a license or whatever for various reasons. But anything that helps get more workers into the industries, whether it's retail or construction or anywhere, like let's open the door a little wider if we can, because everyone needs places. If you haven't been to a restaurant lately, like they'll just close the lobby because there's not enough people working there.
Do you think that that's a getting workers to work situation right now, or is it like the bullshit we're in right now?
I think it's the bullshit.
It hasn't been an issue until now. I've been to a lot of restaurants.
Yeah.
Well, I think obviously the biggest thing is they've been paying out money to people to not work. So that's why people aren't working.
Yeah, but they're not paying them to not read English, to not drive.
I don't know why you're.
Basically, Trent's upset and he thinks this bill's really stupid.
I just want to fight for another 5 minutes about nothing.
Let's go for it. We'll get the big blow up boxing gloves and we'll do this. Let's go.
I love it. So thank you for that one.
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
You're welcome, Brother Draper. On to some national news, which usually means it's about Elon Musk.
What? Never once, but okay.
So I guess some kid, 19-year-old kid, I guess he's
Let's
technically
pause for 1 second.
Okay.
He starts this news report, quote unquote, as, so I guess there was some kid.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Did you read the story?
Yeah.
Was there a kid?
I guess there
I
was
like
a kid.
that Phil's talking in a way that he would normally talk.
That's true,
Like he makes
actually.
no sense all the way
I
through until
don't
the
actually know the facts of what I'm talking about, but I do kind of know that there was something.
end. Elon Musk
But
had
I
to
s-
respond to someone asking for $5,000 or tried to give him $5,000,
Yeah, so-
which is
Okay,
like giving him toilet paper.
I don't know what this is.
So
about.
I guess this kid he writes some kind of software or something that tracks Elon Musk's flights for his private jet and tweets them. So there's this Twitter account that's just, where is Elon Musk, pretty much.
Probably massively successful, right?
Yeah. So
way more successful than $5,000.
Yeah. So Elon Musk was like, can you please take this down? I'll give you $5,000. And he's like, nope. How about a internship and a Tesla, or $50,000 and I'll buy a Tesla or something like that. And Elon Musk responded with something else, but it got a little dicey. I was like, is that not blackmail? Are you not?
No.
You don't think so?
No. Because he's putting the information out there anyway. He's not saying I'm going to release this if you don't. I'm still putting it out there.
I get it.
If you want me to
negotiating.
Yeah.
Right? Like, make me a deal.
Yeah, $5,000
I think so.
to a billionaire. Like, you're missing some commas, son. Like, keep going. Your computer ran out of batteries somewhere before you hit enter. Like, keep it going.
Get it run out of batteries because it's Elon Musk. Battery power.
I didn't even try.
That was so good.
Hey, I'm going to be in the goat pen. See you guys.
He's out.
So if you came across like some incriminating images of Elon Musk and just posted them on an account with the intent of like getting Elon Musk to pay you money to take him down, that's not blackmail?
No.
Yeah, that is.
No, it's not. If all that you're doing is posting public knowledge or something that people in public could find out, then no.
Yeah. No, but he's saying images. If you had like,
it's not images.
Yeah, maybe that. Well, I'm just trying to find something similar.
How's this any different than a paparazzi person who's like taking a picture outside of everywhere that you go? They just happen to know where you're going.
Yeah.
It's the exact same.
I guess so. I just thought, because he didn't ask him for the money. Elon Musk volunteered the money first. Right?
It's the same thing when that dumb Facebook guy was on his in front of government, and he was like, they were like, "Where'd you stay in last night? What hotel were you in?" He's like, "I don't want to tell you."
Mark Zuckerberg, the lizard.
Yeah, no one fucking cares.
Satan.
Where were you? And he's like, "I don't want to tell you."
Yeah.
Well, you know where I was last night.
Right.
You know where I went, not because I checked in, but because you're tracking me.
Right.
So, do you think Elon Musk doesn't have the same knowledge and understanding of everything else? Sorry, bud. Now someone else is tracking you.
Oh, like you're saying Elon Musk tracks us?
Without a doubt. Like with all the technology he has and everything that he's into, there's no question he could figure out something about somebody else, no problem.
That's true. Like he could shut down your car while you're driving it if you own a Tesla.
Yeah.
Right?
In theory, right?
He could probably give a Tesla to that kid and just randomly emit fart smells into the cabin.
Or just run it off the freeway.
There you go.
That is the best he could give him the nicest one. He just turned left in front of that semi. I don't know what happened.
He's so smart he'd take an insurance policy out on the kid.
Yep. He would.
Although I don't even know, like when you have $1 billion, do you even care? Like, great.
Right.
Yeah, I'm here. What do you want from me? You still can't find me. You can't do anything about it.
He's got enough money that he could buy another jet and just fly the first one as a dummy.
Just to screw with him.
Just to screw with that kid.
Right. And the same thing he's doing to the girl that he's banging. He's like, I'm in Delaware. Meanwhile, he's in freaking Samantha in Southern Cal.
Samantha is a city in Southern California?
No, it's this girl I follow on Instagram.
Okay.
I think that's not his concern. Like if he gives into it, it's going to open up the door for a lot of other people to do similar stuff. And he's being bought out to do that.
Right.
So he's got to shut it down so that he's got to do it in such a way where it doesn't promote to the entire world that, hey, I'm a sucker.
Yeah.
Screw with me. It's like, that's a little different.
So he should have never engaged this guy then.
Right.
You post it, great. What do I care?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna take this opportunity to release my new Twitter account, which is Where Did Elon Musk Poop? And I'm going to be tracking where he poops every day and putting it out on my Twitter
I
account.
hope that you just call your butthole Elon Musk and it's just a picture of your own turds.
So an interesting part of this story is the kid, I guess, reached out to him and said, hey, if you do A, B, and C, it'll be a lot harder to track you. Like this information's pretty much really public, but do this. And Elon Musk did it. But then the kid can still track him.
Because he knows.
Yeah. And he's like...
If you tell him, you're not going to tell him everything, or there's going to be a little loophole in there where you're like, okay,
right.
I get it. It's going to be a thing. It's not that big of a deal.
He wants to be hired on as his private security or whatever. Right, Holy Spirit?
Right.
Thank you.
Why wouldn't you use that? If you have direct contact to a billionaire, showing that I can go and control you, basically. I can do everything that you wish people couldn't.
Yeah.
If you hire me, I can show you how to not do that.
Yep.
Sounds
Pay
smart.
me what I'm worth.
Might be smart. Might not be.
It's a great job market right now. We told the Holy Spirit to quit going to church.
And now he's tweeting Elon Musk for $5,000. Right? So the next story I don't know a lot about, but I've heard a lot about from other people. I'm hoping you guys know more about it. Apparently there's some kind of like trucker strike going on up in Canada where like 1 million truckers are like
I completely
crowding
agree with
it.
the truckers.
What is so
What's happening?
what is it? What are they doing?
So, and I don't know a ton about it either. I just know basically when you guys say I've done a lot of research about COVID and how to fix it, I know about 100 times more than you guys do about that same thing.
Oh. So how much do the
basically fucking
truckers
nothing.
know?
So basically what they're doing is they're trying to make it so that truckers, because they're handling all the stuff, like same thing they're doing to people who work in hospitals and stuff. Either you have to be vaccinated or you can't show up and deliver stuff, or you can't drive that truck, or you got to do all that stuff. So they're saying be vaccinated or you can't do it.
Right.
So, which I think is stupid. The whole time we were shut down, we weren't doing anything. They were putting themselves at risk. They were driving, they were on the road, they were handling all the packages. We should let them do whatever we want. Like, we should give them our firstborn. Whatever you want to do, take it.
Yeah.
Well, it's
And I
not even
completely agree with the
transmitted
truckers.
that way anyways.
What'd you say?
It's not transmitted that way anyways.
What do you mean?
Yes, it is.
Through a package at your door.
Stop. Don't listen to the podcast. These guys are so stupid. If someone who has it touches an object and then you touch that and then like touch your eye or whatever, then you still can.
But don't they say that sunlight actually, like it can't survive in sunlight
Which
very
makes
long?
complete sense why it makes it through the whole summertime. You're 100% right. You're fucking so stupid.
Well, I mean, if it's on a package on your doorstep, it's very unlikely to stay there long enough to...
Because of package thieves? That's probably more accurate in the scenario. And so the package thief now gets COVID. But
I think that's a real thing, Trent. You'll have to look it up.
that it dies in sunlight?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably after extreme... What did Joe Rogan say?
Not if you go in the sunlight. Obviously, it's not killing the virus.
No, but what did Dr. Joe Rogan say?
I think he said that 48 seconds.
You just shoot it with the sun gun, and it's fine.
Right.
48 seconds.
If that's the rationale, then they would put the back of a UPS truck would be like
A greenhouse.
glass or whatever.
Yeah.
And so everything would be, the roof on every store would be open. Instead of saying go inside for the next and don't contact anyone, they would say, you know what, actually in summer, take the roof off your fucking house.
Well, no, I think the problem is it doesn't die instantly in sunlight. So in theory, you could still breathe it out and someone else can inhale it.
You're right. So we go through a 1 month shutdown, less than we went through before. And we just do it in the summertime when it's not cloudy.
But I think at least this is early on in the pandemic. I think they said surfaces, like it doesn't survive very long on surfaces outside.
I believe you were listening to Dr. Trump when he said, once it goes over 42 degrees, it's going to die anyway.
It was Dr. Anthony Fauci, the greatest hero of American literature.
He saved a lot more lives than you've ever tried to.
Whatever. I saved everybody.
Back to the story of the truckers. So what's the whole thing here? The truckers are no, we don't want to be vaccinated. We don't have to do this.
Yeah, because it's a personal choice.
Yeah, okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that completely.
Yeah, so, I mean, as it should be for everyone, if you don't want to get it, then you shouldn't.
That's what I always say.
The thing you don't understand is Trent just takes the exact opposite stance. That's his role here. So
No, I mean, honestly, that is what I do believe.
it doesn't matter what we say.
I think that I should be able to pick for some of you if you take it or not, and I can sneeze in your mouth when I think I might have it. But
You can sneeze in my mouth. I'm ready. But no, I agree. I don't think they should be forced to. I'm a little bit different for healthcare workers. I think I'm probably okay with that, except that it seemed to, like in New York, they laid off like 10% of their healthcare workers.
well, I would agree with you if with healthcare workers, you don't get vaccinated, you get fired. If you test positive for COVID, but you're vaccinated, they make you come to work.
Exactly. That's the other thing.
So you can't do both sides.
Well, and the other thing is when they lay, like, if you force someone off, that means you can't work here now. And that does the exact opposite of what you need during a quote unquote pandemic. Like, you need healthcare workers more than anybody. So if you think you're helping by laying off healthcare workers,
I think there's a hospital out there somewhere that could hire all of these healthcare workers and just say like IMC or HC or whatever, they're a private company. They could go out and say, we'll hire whoever you want. And they could go and take all of these doctors that are going to go through and go through it no problem. Either way.
If they're not going to take the vaccine, they're not real doctors, Trent.
I get it.
It's a joke.
So,
Ben, will you tell me the punchline?
So the truckers are like blocking a whole city off or something, or they did. I don't know. Something about that. Because they don't want to get vaccinated. Did anything come of it? Do we know?
I don't have any idea.
Did the great Queen of Parliament in the Canadian?
I think if truckers were to, like, as a whole or even as a mass, were to go on strike, we'd be fucked.
They can screw people.
Yep.
They can screw everything up.
Our entire economy.
Railroad would be hard.
Yeah.
Trucking would cripple us.
Yeah. Except Amazon, unless they took part in it.
You stupid, you think Amazon makes that stuff all in their factory? How does it get to the fucking Amazon store, you idiot?
No, because I'm saying Amazon has like a whole trucking industry of their own now.
So who drives those trucks? I'm assuming it's probably a trucker.
That's true. So if the truckers
I
are
wish
part
that
of
you weren't 6 feet away so I could punch you right in the face. You're so stupid on that side of the room. Is it smell dumb over there, Jeff?
It's way brighter over
Because
here.
it looks dumb from this spot.
Oh yeah, we forgot to dim it over here. Maybe that'll be
If you
better.
dim it, I'm taking my pants off, and this is Ben's first time, and I want it to be his last.
Then I can hide back in the darkness a little bit in the corner.
Yeah, you'll still smell dumb.
Truckers deserve. I don't know what's going on in Canada exactly, but they deserve to carry on with what you're doing. Thank you very much. You're the backbone and the blood of America, and probably a lot of places like Canada and Europe and all kinds of other places. But
Any like well-functioning economy has to have truckers. Just have to.
Yep.
Yeah, I wish instead of them having to do that the people, like when the government, when Canada or whoever was like, okay, trucking companies, you can't have your truckers, you have to fire everyone who's not vaccinated. I wish the people in charge of that would be the ones that just said no.
People in charge of what? Firing them?
The trucking
like
company.
the trucking company, if they just say no, then we don't have to have this, because this is great that the truckers are striking, but at the same time, it's got to cause some economic.
Phil, you don't understand what it costs. Like when you run a company and you get sued, even if you win that lawsuit, what it costs you to win that lawsuit far outweighs what you went through. The attorney fees and all that sort of stuff, it's like minuscule in comparison to what you really would have saved.
What are you talking about?
You're saying that the trucker company.
The look on Phil's face is like he just accomplished something.
No.
What are you talking about?
No.
That's my argument.
No, I'm just saying, I wish that somebody, like, it seems to be like all the people taking a stand in this whole thing are like the lowest level people, instead of like whole companies.
Like
saying,
nurses, not
Not
hospital
hospitals.
management.
right.
Nurses are taking a stance. And
Like if a whole hospital system was just like, no, we're not going to do that, then it wouldn't even ever, like the lowest level people who are going to be affected the most financially wouldn't ever have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like we haven't really had a lot
you're expecting people who make a fuck ton of money to do nothing and they're not involved with anything. They're probably going from their home to their office. They're not in personal contact. They don't care.
Yeah.
The government comes in and says, do it. And they just say, you know what? Yeah, we'll do it. Whatever.
Yeah. I want them to say, no. Do you understand?
I hear you. You sound like an idiot. They don't do that.
They do.
No, they don't. What big company has stood
On
up to
to
it?
our next topic.
What big company has stood up to it? Name one.
I think that's the point, is that they're not.
No, I 100% agree
should.
with you. But it's because they stand to lose the most, and it's easier for them to just go with it.
Exactly.
If you owned a big company, you wouldn't either.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying
So you can't call them hypocrites, or you can't judge them for not.
I don't
If you
think he
owned
said
a big
that.
company, you would.
I don't think he said that. I think he said he wishes.
Right.
I think if I owned
you
a-
put yourself in their situation, you would not.
I think if I owned a big enough company, I would.
No, because now you take a stand and you have to lay off employees. So you have 1,000 employees, and now you can't get the contracts. Is it better for you to go along with it and not fire those employees?
So I think I might force the government to make that decision because they're going to make the decision either to A, fire the people who don't get vaccinated, or B, fire everybody because
They
we're
don't
not
fire
going to
people for
comply.
your company.
What do you mean?
They just penalize you. You as your
That's
company.
true. You just pay some money, right?
It's not some money.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
How much?
Like if that stupid bill would have gone through that if you are over 100 employees and you're not vaccinated, you have to go through and either test your employees.
Right.
So are you going to go through and literally you're taking money out of your pocket as the business owner? What would have been your money and you're paying them to get tested.
So
Would you do that?
How much money was it?
It doesn't matter. Say it's $20 an employee and you have 1,000 employees. Would you do it?
All 1,000 are not getting vaccinated?
Correct.
Yeah.
No, let's say 20%. Okay, so now you got to do that once a week.
Yeah. That's like
So you're not good at math.
$20K a week.
You're not great at math, are you?
Oh, I think he is.
that's the price of freedom, Trent.
Freedom isn't free.
The price of freedom, you're right, until it's your pocketbook.
That's paying for it.
Yeah. But if my pocketbook's big enough, I would pay for it.
No, you wouldn't.
I would.
There's a reason Elon Musk just offered that guy $5,000.
Because
He's a penny pincher.
Yeah, I fucking hate you guys.
That's our job.
We used to be lifelong friends.
Your job is to
And this
contradict us, and our job is to piss you off.
This was the episode that did us in.
Right. I'm moving in with Devin again.
Glad I could attend.
Glad you could be here to witness
Anyways,
it.
on your way out, Ben, take whatever you want from the podcast room.
Yeah.
It's all going out.
Take a souvenir.
Chicken.
Yeah, take a bowl of chicken, like a giant bowl.
So on to our topic of the evening, which is Ben.
Oh, Lord.
Ben, all that I know is that Jeff said that you grew up in the Mojave Desert.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
That's true.
And that it was a wild time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just want to tell you, all I told them was basically that you grew up in the Mojave Desert and with little money, little resources, it was pretty basic out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us about it. Where exactly did you grow up?
Where did I grow up? It's like, it's hard to explain.
It was the Mojave Desert.
Yeah,
right?
it's the Mojave Desert, but it's the Mojave Desert, California. I think the Mojave Desert actually extends all the way into Nevada and actually into St. George, I think. But it's the Mojave Desert, California. So the coordinates would be hard to explain. There's like SEMA, California. There's like Baker, California. It's kind of like in that area.
In between that.
So
Okay.
it's basically a stretch in the West where no one fucking cares about it.
Right, exactly. So it's even deeper than that. It's like,
Go beyond the part that you don't care about, and you're gonna like end up at your front door.
yeah, exactly. It's like, my father worked at a cinder mine. A cinder mine is like volcanic ash. And back in the day, volcanic ash was what we used to pave roads with. So if you go up any national park and you ever see a road that's red in color, that is cinder volcanic ash, the red color. There's black and red.
Huh.
So like he worked on a mine that would, basically there's these outlets for volcanoes where they're like these breathe tubes, and they would create these domes, and those domes would be blasted and crushed and whatever, and they would refine the cinder ash, and roads used to be made out of that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there was a mine that was kind of in our family, the Aiken Cinder Mine, which is in the Mojave Desert, California. And so my grandfather worked there, and my father worked there, and my cousins and a few other people.
Was it a big operation, or was it just like family?
Yeah, it wasn't that big. I mean, there was a foreman, which was my grandfather's brother, and my grandfather and my father and a couple of my cousins. It wasn't that massive, but semi-trucks would pull up, and they'd decide, what size aggregate needed loaded on their trucks. And it's just volcanic ash, which is basically molting. I don't know if you guys know what cinders are, but
Yeah, it's like it's a byproduct of a volcano.
Aren't cinders kind of like coal or charcoal? Like,
no, it's basically ash. Like you can see like molted rocks that are black, and it's solid. It's solid rock, but the ash is just like the ash of a cigarette. It's very. They put them in barbecues. They're like, yeah, I don't know.
They're red, like lava rocks.
Lava rocks, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you get those red
cinder
ones
ash.
when you have like the fire pit in your backyard that has a fire. Like those are all the same rocks.
So those are cinders.
Yeah,
you're saying.
that's cinders.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
It sounds like it's a family business. How does like the family get into the like middle of nowhere business?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure how my grandparents arrived. Well, I kind of do. My grandfather's brother started working in the Mojave Desert at the Aiken Cinder Mine. Then they needed more employees, so my grandfather's brother pulled my grandpa and grandma out into the Mojave Desert. And then from there, they had children. Those children one of them was my father, who met my mother, who lived in Sema, California, and they, mated, and then that's how I became.
Let's deep dive into that.
So like doggy style or like what
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to think about that. But then my whole family just, from my mother's side, it's a very Western, they were cattle ranchers. So it's very cowboys, like legitimate cowboys that like literally,
Cattle?
Yeah. They herd cattle and do all that crap you see in the movies like cowboys do.
Yeah.
That's
so I
cool.
got that scene, and then I got these wild freaks on my father's side. And
those are the miners.
So what was like your home situation?
My home situation? I mean, my home situation is so insane. I moved 28 times by the time I was 18 years of age.
Wow.
So that's a loaded question. My home life was back then was still just insane, guys. Well, there was points where we lived in cabins, which I can show you photos of. I actually have them on my phone. We lived in like little shacks and shanties, basically. We lived in trailer houses.
And this is all in the Mojave Desert you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It didn't originate from the Mojave Desert. So I think it's from age 2 to like age 11, I think was the Mojave Desert era.
And what decades were that in? Like,
well, I was born
80s?
in 77. So,
okay.
So yeah, I guess it'd be 80 to, 80 to, I don't know, 88 or something.
So in the 80s then.
Yeah, the 80s. Yeah.
So why did you move so much? Was the work moving around the desert or what?
At first it wasn't that way. My father just was he was a person that just could not keep himself in one place. And as a child, it just became, a point where we moved so much that I literally had a box of my belongings, one single box, and I owned nothing else because I knew we will be moving soon. And I hated packing, and I'm sick and tired of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just kind of ended up that way,
Wow.
So when you like you grew up in such a different way than us, like you hear like lifetime friends, like we lived next to each other for decades, and then you relate that to your life. Like you hear that and think like, oh shit, this is so different than my life because of what?
It's so different because of, the parents I picked. I don't know how to put it. Like, it's like who you pick and what happens in that situation. You know what I mean? Like you may pick some suburban parents or something, and it's like great, and you stay put, you stay in the house your whole life, and you have friends, and you do that whole situation, and that's great too. But in my situation, apparently, I picked some like dope smoking hippies that just, we had the wildest time. Like, it's so unbelievable. I literally don't tell people because it's too unbelievable for people to have or understand.
So what would be an example? Like what would be so like I get the desert, I get moving, like what about that other than the obviously it'd be tough to move that much. Like what else was going on?
Sure, that's easy to have, but it's like, if I talked about ghosts or if I talked about UFOs or if I talked about, these funky experiences that I experienced and saw for myself, like people don't want to hear that. They don't want to believe that. And I don't usually want to talk about it. You know what I mean?
So what you will talk about, like what's your one thing where you're like, if you heard this, it would fucking blow your mind?
I mean, literally all of it would blow your mind. I don't mind communicating about it if you guys really want to know about it, but it's just...
Absolutely.
So I want to hear about the ghosts.
Okay, I mean, I don't have a lot on ghosts. When me and my sister were young, we had an Indian ghost friend, basically, and his name was Rubba.
Wow.
And me and my sister, we were just very young, and we just thought it was... he was a Native American, and he had the full garb and the whole 9 yards. And we thought it was normal. I mean, we didn't know he was a ghost. I mean, that's just what we saw. You know what I mean? But what was freaky is, all of our family experienced all of this with this Rubba guy. I mean, my sister would talk about him all the time. Oh yeah, we're playing with him, and we're doing this, and we'd literally be talking to him, running around, doing things. And I guess it freaked our family out when me and my sister, one day we were in a wagon, and the wagon's being pulled across the yard, and there's nobody pulling the wagon as far as they can perceive. You know what I mean? But
when you're playing with Rubba.
Yeah, we're literally playing with Rubba.
Which is just a friend of yours. I mean,
it's just a friend. We didn't know, but then my aunts, we were the ones that were able to perceive this being or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? But my very LDS family experienced it all. My grandmother, my aunts, everybody, that this is not true, but they saw this occur, like pulling us through the yard in a wagon. And you can call them all to this day and ask them. They'll tell you all about it.
Wow.
But,
Did they freak out when they saw that?
Oh, yeah.
They ran out to the yard trying to...
Yeah, they thought we and my sister was full of shit.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, you know what I mean?
So you watch a scary movie now where there's like a ghost and everyone watches it. You're like, no, this is a documentary. This real happens. Rubba's in the show.
I don't really know about that. I mean, that's just a TV show, but I'm just telling you what we experienced.
So back up just a little bit. How big is the community that you live in? Because you're mentioning you've got like aunts and uncles out there. Like, is it just your family? Like, how many people are we talking? Is it 15, 30 people? Is it?
I mean, it depends. I mean, every place is very sparse. It's like we had a cabin. There was a cabin about, I don't know, 150 yards away from us. Then there's not another home for another 9 miles.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And then there's probably another home maybe 20 miles from that home.
This is all like down dirt roads, desert.
Pole line road. Our phone was a phone booth literally in the middle of the Mojave Desert. Like, literally in the desert. It's a phone booth. We'd have to drive miles to call somebody,
And you're saying like a public phone booth, like pay to call.
Put a coin in,
Yeah.
Are you married? Are you dating?
Not currently, no. I do have 3 children, and they're all raised and grown
So when
up.
you go on your first date and a girl's like, tell me about you growing up,
I don't tell them.
What's the one thing though that you're like? I
will
hope she doesn't
never
hear this.
I will never get laid. So
deny.
So, okay, so there's some ghost things going on out there, and you also mentioned aliens.
no, I did not mention aliens. I mentioned UFOs.
Oh, that's what I meant.
Phil, you never listen.
I know.
Yeah,
I
why
should
don't you
have.
listen, Phil?
I should have.
That's all you do on this thing. It's a podcast. You talk and then you listen. That's it. That's all you have to do.
He said Joseph Smith land.
I just talk. Actually,
I'm excited to hear about the UFOs.
Oh, sure.
So you're out at nighttime. What is it like there? Like pitch black, obviously, right?
It's pitch black and dead ass silent. Total silence, except for maybe a coyote or something. It is so serene. It's beautiful. It's unbelievable.
That's the
You can
best
see
way to
every
live.
star. You can just see everything.
Can you see any light pollution from cities nearby?
No.
Not at all. Just too
Not
far
at
away.
all.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure in the early 80s, that's entirely different too. Like this is like crap lighting at the time. Like nighttime lights weren't great at the time.
Oh,
Yeah.
Air flight wasn't the same.
Yeah, we're talking about the beginning of the 80s too. I was born in 1977. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's the things I recall early on was, like things that would kind of put you into perspectives, like Led Zeppelin #2, like Gordon Lightfoot, Fleetwood Mac, just that sort of section. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I want to get to the subject. I want to paint the picture a little further, though. So your cabin that you're talking about, did it have electricity?
Oh, yeah, it did.
Okay. And was that powered by generators or was that on a grid of some kind? Or do you know?
God, that's a good question. I think we had a windmill, and I think it had something to do with that. There wasn't a lot of power.
Okay.
We had no phones. We had...
Internet was a little spotty.
My modem wasn't great.
Cell service was only one bar.
Waiting would drop all the time.
Yeah, none of that stuff existed.
Like my mom grew up in Tabiona. She was born in the same house that she was raised until 8.
Yeah.
A dirt floor. You had to walk to the outhouse to go. Like, was there in the indoor plumbing? Was there flooring? Was there all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it was a normal house, but I mean, I'm showing, there's a picture of one of the cabins right there.
Oh, yeah.
You want to take a shot at it?
It didn't have indoor plumbing until I remember my father was digging a sewer line from the existing bathroom to
Septic tank.
a septic tank.
Yeah.
Exactly. I remember he literally hand dug a septic tank. It was unbelievable. It was deep as hell, wide, the whole night, and he did it by hand. And it was 2 days.
So you're describing a cabin, and I'm looking at what could be a couple plywood pieces.
That's right.
Leaning towards each other.
Yeah.
And I see a pole behind that looks like it's the Ritz-Carlton in comparison.
What? A pole?
A pole behind trailer.
A pole behind trailer.
Yes. Like when you're describing a cabin in the desert, you're describing
a shanty.
It's
shanty.
It's an aggressive tent at best.
Yeah.
So if you ever drive by Barstow is what I'm thinking. Is Barstow the one I'm thinking of?
Downtown Barstow looks adjacent to this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. But anyway,
that's where Jake is also from.
So your dad, you said, dug a whole septic tank in a couple days. He's obviously a hardworking guy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of dirt to shovel.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit and I dug a septic tank out with machinery, and it took us 3 different days going back with the machine.
So the septic was about the size of this room. I remember when I was a kid watching him hand dig it. It was probably about this big.
Yeah.
Basically.
Oh, that is a shitty room.
That's crazy.
That was a joke, Jeff. Yeah, thanks.
That's crazy. That's
cool.
That's a lot of work.
So I didn't want to sidetrack from stories, but at night it's dark.
Yeah.
You can see the Milky Way every day of the week, all the time. So what I've actually been in the high Uintas the whole summer. I worked for the Boy Scouts, and I saw weird stuff going on in the sky. But I wasn't seeing it enough to really know what's going on or whatever. So were you seeing lights in the sky or like what, like close?
What did you see out there?
Well, I mean, a lot. I can't tell you what it was. You know what I mean? Or if it's alien or, Area 51 is also out there. So you got to understand our military and our Air Force legitimately has,
God knows what they got going
they
on
have
there.
whatever they have going on out there. I couldn't tell you if it was alien or whatever. I don't know. I have many stories. So, I mean, I can tell you the first one when I was a little child and I lived in a shanty that's about 11 miles from the one I just showed you guys, which is a house probably maybe, I can't even call it a house, a shanty maybe twice the size of, maybe 1/3 larger than this room that we're in right now. And I remember I was just a kid and I remember I was I think there's only 2 rooms in this entire house. There's an outhouse and 2 rooms inside this house. And I was in the living room, I guess you want to call it. I don't know. And the reason these images are so vivid for me is because, you can't ever forget things like this. You know what I mean? Even though I'm a little child, maybe, 3, I guess, I'm assuming, But one night it's dark and, I don't even think we had power in this shanty we lived in. I think it was, candles or whatever, But I remember I was in the living room and the whole house lit up, like the windows that we did have, or I remember there was a window in the door and maybe like a couple windows, I don't know. But the entire house lit up and it's in the middle of the night.
Inside it lit up.
Inside it lit up.
Right.
Yeah. And so I'm a kid and my parents, they see this stuff all the time. Like we literally invite family from Utah and other places to come UFO hunting because they didn't believe it. And we'd take them around and we'd UFO hunt and blow their minds all the time. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But this is my first recollection of it. And there was a saucer that landed in our front yard, if you want to call it that. We literally live in the middle of the Mojave Desert, but it pretty much is our front yard at this point in time. And I walk out as a kid. I walked into the kitchen. My mom's at the kitchen sink. And I walk out the front door. And I'm looking as this little child. And there's this massive saucer that's spinning. It's in the front yard. And it's all lit up. I have no idea how. I don't see any lights, but the whole thing is illuminated and it's rotating.
Like the Gravitron at the state fair.
Maybe.
Do you know what that is? I'm sorry.
I don't know.
It's a ride at the state fair that rotates around.
Yeah, that same ride showed up in the Mojave Desert for 4 people to ride.
It could have been a carnival. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, it's a dumb question.
Bring your goat with you.
And I wanted to clarify one thing before you go on is that, like you said, it's your front yard, but your front yard is probably like 800 miles.
Yeah.
So how far away from the house was it roughly?
It was very close, like maybe 30 yards or so. I mean, it was massive. As a kid, I'm looking at it and it is absolutely massive.
Right.
And it's
so it lands or comes close to the ground, and then what happens?
Well, it's just basically rotating there. And I think the moment that it perceived that I was perceiving it, it took off. You know what I mean? Because these shanties it's not like, there's lights on and things like that. I don't think it necessarily knew we were there or it's a government thing and it's just something they're fucking around with. I literally don't know.
So what are your parents like? You talk to your parents, alive or dead, I don't know, but like you talk with them about this story at any time, and they're like, "Yeah, we just don't talk about that," or like, "What?"
No,
what
they talk about it all the time.
What do they say? Like, "Oh yeah, that thing just would come around."
Well, that's the only time I saw that one. But there's many other many other UFO situations in the Mojave Desert. They have probably 30 or 40 more stories than I do because they're fucking adults and they go out and, do it. And I just happen to be at home when these things are happening. Or one time I was with my grandparents driving to, I don't know, maybe Barstow or I don't know where, or, I'm at home and I'm seeing, we're all getting the binoculars out like, what the hell's happening on the mountain? You know what I mean? So I don't know, just, yeah, you can call any of my family, ask them right now.
So what did you see with your grandparents? Not that time in the weird bedroom. Like, what did you see with them?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. That actually did happen.
Listen, if you're in a shanty, good. I know that it happened.
Okay, well, I just remember my grandpa, he's a crazy bastard. He's an alcoholic, and he would always drive us, me and my sister. And we were driving somewhere, and we're, it's all dirt roads out in the Mojave Desert. So we're driving, I'm not sure, I think somewhere. This is me and my sister in the Mojave Desert. She's my sidekick.
Why are you wearing matching one pieces? Is it her swimsuit you're wearing, or is she wearing your swimsuit?
I don't know, man. It's the 70s.
It's a hell of a time.
So this time it was weird. We're on the dirt road, and then we look off. I guess the direction would be east. Is that east? Yeah, east. And there's this what looks like a fire, but it's weird. It's like a cylinder shape, and it's touching the ground, and it's shooting all the way up to the atmosphere, like this. I don't know what you would call that.
Light? Is it
the Luxor? Is that the year the Luxor opened?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. It's like that thing, but it's in the middle of but it looked like a fire, so we go off road to go towards it. And when we got, too close to it, again, it just, literally just like it was shrinking, in diameter until it just disappeared, like before we got to it.
So it's like a beam of light going up,
mm-hmm.
and that beam shrank
right
when you got close and then just disappeared.
Yeah.
Like a closing cylinder or something like that.
It's almost like, we thought it was a fire though, but it was just so weird. We had to go after it because it's like, it's literally shooting all the way up. I don't know if it's a tractor beam or it looks like fire though. You know what I mean? But,
I don't know what you mean, but I can imagine fire.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So your grandparents would just like all of a sudden see these things and be like, yeah, fuck it. Let's go find out what's over there. Well, and they would just huck across the desert, AKA your front lawn, and just go find this tractor beam.
Yeah, we'd try to, but.
Right. I can imagine if you thought it was a fire too. Like that's probably a good reason they went over there too. Like, oh crap, what's on fire?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Billy Bob's shanty or I don't know, but
well, it's we knew it wasn't a fire.
Oh, that's just how
fire is not going to be,
Yeah, it's a different look, but you're like, this isn't normal.
Yeah, it's not.
And that's why you go check stuff like that out because you're like, something about this isn't right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, or like another time we were. Again, so at that, I was probably maybe 5 at that time. I'm guessing. I do know it's later in time than the first incident that I observed, but obviously all my family, they observe this stuff all the time. Well, I was having dinner, and my grandma and grandpa and my father and stepmother, who was the Wicked Witch of the West, but anyways, we'll go into that.
Stepmothers will do that, right?
And me and my sister, we were all at the cabin. My grandparents came all the way down from Utah to visit us. And they're like, my dad's out. And he's like, oh my gosh, guys, come check this out. And so we'll all go out. And, from that picture I just showed you, if you were to look, I don't know what direction. I guess that's south. So it was in this cabin that I was showing you, if you want to call it a cabin, but it's that mountain range right there. I don't know if you guys can see the mountain range on the right-hand side of the photo. But there's all these lights, like hundreds of lights, and there's nothing on that mountain. There's no buildings on that mountain. There's no industry on the mountain. That's literally a dirt-ass mountain in the middle of the Mojave Desert. Do you know what I'm saying? There's not roads that go up that mountain.
This is also early 80s, so you're like, there's not enough lights to really do anything with this at that time.
Right, exactly. But there's literally hundreds of lights, and they would materialize. They would literally just materialize above the mountain, and they start cascading down, and then they would disappear. The lights would go out, and then they'd reappear above. And this was going on for like a half an hour. We got binoculars out to try to, see, and we just sat there for over a half an hour watching this phenomenon. It looked like, with the binoculars, which weren't that awesome back then, but they were just light discs that would they would do this just over and over again, hundreds of lights.
Scanning the landscape or something.
That's the thought we all kind of came to, like, are they like scanning the mountain to understand it, know what's in it, like get its geological layout? I mean, we didn't know, I mean, there's that incident too, and there's others as well. But
so when you described one of the first that you saw as a very young child, was it always like, do you remember seeing and experiencing these lights and these events before talking to your family about it? Or as long as you can remember, was your family like, oh yeah, these lights happen all the time, so that when you saw it for the first time, you were like, oh yeah, that's what I'm seeing?
No, the first time I saw it, I was too young. I mean, nobody ever told me about it.
Right.
I just literally had no clue, like, what am I experiencing?
So there was a time when, like, you experienced this alone, is what I'm getting at, and then eventually you found out that your other family members, were like, oh yeah, we see this and this, and then you started seeing them together, like with other people.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, totally.
What's like the most group setting when you were like, there was 4 or 5 people?
It's the one I just told you for sure.
With the light scanning down the mountain.
We were just passing the binoculars to everybody for, 30 minutes or so. Like, oh my God,
Wow. It's got to be a little like frightening.
I don't think it, I mean, it wasn't really like, it wasn't to our family because, we do understand there's a military base and this Area 51 and all the stuff we don't really know what they do. You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't know if this is them just, hell, I don't know. Like,
testing equipment.
Isn't necessarily
this is like pre-Google machine and
Yeah, it's so advanced. It's unbelievable. Don't get me wrong, because we're talking the early 80s and late 70s. Like,
there was a lot of advancement at that time.
I mean, to us, it's like, are you kidding? We can barely get the dome light in the Chevy, the 59 Chevy to fucking turn on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very crazy, but.
Well, and I asked that because we were out camping. We've talked about this before, but we saw the Starlink satellites that come in a line. But at first we didn't all like register that that's what it was. Mm-hmm. And when I first saw those lights coming across the sky, my heart started pumping. I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is that? Like,
I had the vision of instantly uniting America, like Independence Day, the movie.
Oh,
and everyone, I'm like, where's the ammunition? Let's do this.
Trump really did it. This is better than January 6th.
So then we Googled it and we're like, oh, it's just Elon Musk and his satellites. It was crazy though. And it was interesting to see something that, but it is interesting because we already have established ideas of unidentified objects or things that we can't understand in the sky, where you're experiencing it as a kid when you don't really have a preconceived notion of like what is happening necessarily.
Yeah.
It just happened.
Well, and see, from what you describe, it sounds more like you guys experience these kind of things often enough that it wasn't like you're freaking out. It was more like, oh, that's cool. Let's pass it. What is that? Type thing.
They never messed with us. We didn't. It was definitely like our entertainment. Like we would definitely invite the family from Utah and other places, and we would literally get in the Scout, which I don't even know if they have Scouts anymore, but it's an old, okay. And we'd literally go, all over the landscape and go UFO hunting. But we took it as, because my family is very LDS, so it's hard to believe in, alien life, with the indoctrination that we had, at the time. A UFO is just an unidentified flying object.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not saying an unidentified alien flying object.
Yeah.
It's just there could be a piece of trash floating through the sky and I don't know if that's a milk carton or a cigarette pack. I can't identify it, but it's flying through the air. It's like, people take this so damn seriously.
I've seen a lot of milk cartons. None of them lit up my whole house.
Yeah. Well, and I want to come back to some more stories too, but I want to point out, because we haven't really talked about this, but during the whole COVID thing, there was like a month there where they were like, oh yeah, UFOs are totally a thing. The government is coming out and pretty much saying, yeah, this event, this event, this event, this event, this event are all like, we have no idea. The military, nobody in our government has any clue why and how these things are. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like,
I do.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you, from my point of view and what I've experienced, it's just true. I'm sorry about that.
You think it is extraterrestrial?
I personally do.
Yeah.
I've never seen an alien, but I mean, the stuff I've seen is either we are 1,000 years in the future with our technology and we're keeping it for some reason from other people, but the stuff I've seen is so insane. I can tell you another story. I was at my grandparents' house, which is also in the Mojave Desert, which is about maybe 11 miles from our cabin. I'm in their yard, and I'm looking, and there's this object that's going straight up vertical, and it's floating, right? And it gets so high in the air, and I can't tell what it is, and it breaks apart into two objects, and then they oppose each other and at light speed separate faster. My eyeballs just almost you know what I mean? I'm like, what the hell? It moves so fast you can't even comprehend how fast these two objects.
And they move
separated.
All the way past the horizon, until they're gone. Just boom, like that.
Instantaneously. I thought it was like a piece of trash floating in the air, like I'm kind of explaining. I'm like, what the hell? But it's so massive that you can keep watching it, almost to the, top of the atmosphere. It's like, I can't believe I'm still seeing this. Do you see what I mean? So it's like, how's that possible? What are we doing? You can't, something moving at that speed would kill a human body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and on. But the point is, my own opinion, even though I've never seen an alien, is either we have a badass government that builds the most dope ass shit you've ever seen in your life, or there is some other life forms that maybe live in, one of the 70 trillion galaxies that we can see in a 1 square inch
right.
of space that maybe know something maybe a little more than we know. You know what I mean?
I feel like as religious people, you and Jeff should be on par with this. Like this not too far away from your guys' beliefs.
Let me ask you, Trent, have you ever like just looked at the stars and thought, yeah, we're definitely the only people here? Like
100% of the time when I look out there.
Really?
Yeah, I've never seen anything that was ever like. I hear a story, I don't disbelieve him. I've never seen anything contrary to that, and I've spent a lot of times in the woods and weird areas.
Usually sober, sometimes.
Usually, sometimes.
So the likelihood is the non-soberness should bring out
really
more.
help.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you're not going to believe this stuff. Yeah.
I just remember when I was about 14 years old, sitting up in the Hayuintas, and I used to sit outside my tent, and I'd sleep out there. I had a cot, and I'd pull the cot outside, and I'd sleep outside all the time. It's probably like a bear's little luncheon, but I remember looking at the stars, and one night I just remember I'm like, let me start counting them, and you just can't even count them. And the longer you look in one spot, the more stars you start seeing, and to me, with my naked eye, it was impossible to count them. And I'm like, I came to this conclusion that I was like, if just one of those stars out there.
No, and I don't disbelieve that there's things out there. I'm thinking the chances that one, we're on the same timeline, or two, our timelines match up enough and they happen to go in our direction enough to line up with us is not great. Like the odds, even if there are or there were, it's not great.
I think the only way it would work is if they had technology so advanced that they could detect us from wherever they were,
right.
Which seems to us implausible because we're so far away. We're like a tiny piece of dust in theory, even a really advanced telescope or something.
If you see an alien that lands at the property next year, and they're like, "Oh, Joseph Smith's not a thing." What do you do?
Why do you keep bringing that?
Because I want to fight religion so bad. I hate religion. You guys are so stupid for believing in it.
Wait, you hate religion?
Wow, that's so weird.
Do I think you're stupid for believing in it? 100%.
Wait, you do?
I know. I'm telling you right now.
Thank you so much for sharing your opinion. I value it.
Because I know three of us that are very religious.
It's not that I think you're a worse person. I just think that you're smarter than that.
No, I'm a worse person. Let's be honest.
No, Phil is. I was talking to Ben.
No, so what I was going to get at though is like I hear that story and I'm like, wow, like my brain is trying to find the logical explanation. Same thing when I'm watching like the news a year ago or whatever it was, where they're like, oh yeah, this light zooms across, this Navy pilot's like, yeah, I'm watching this thing zoom by, and they're showing me the picture, but my brain is still like, what are we just not getting here? Like what about this don't we understand? And if we did, we'd be like, oh yeah, it was just this weather balloon or whatever, like, have you had those times in your life where like, what was the alternate explanation, or was it always just like, I saw this is exactly what it was, and you know what I'm getting at, like
yeah, sure. There was just never any doubt. I mean, there's no, it's either one or the other. Like either the government did it or there's some other entity that has the technology to do that. It's almost like, I don't know what else to say. Like, when you're observing something and you're not only observing it by yourself, but you're observing it with your grandma, your grandpa, your dad, your stepmother, your little sister, your, whatever, like, and we're all sitting there fucking watching it. What is the conclusion? It's either A or B.
Yeah.
We don't literally see an alien going, hey guys, what's up? So we're like, it's either A or B. I literally don't know what to say. And it's so frequent.
Yeah.
In the Mojave Desert specifically, where we lived, that we would literally invite people from other states to come, friends and family, because they didn't believe us, when we drive to that telephone booth in the middle of fucking nowhere and call them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And say, hey, come down, like, let's go UFO hunting. It's fucking a blast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the question I have is, does your family still live out there?
No, they turned the BLM, which is the Bureau of Land Management, turned the entire area into a national park. It's called the Mojave Desert National Reserve or something like that. But we were aware of this happening because BLM tried to kick us off our property for many, many years while we lived out there. Their intention was to get all people off of that land and not living in that land anymore. But they couldn't kick us out because, we owned that property for a long time, right? But they eventually did win because of a even crazier story. But they got up all the land and all those cabins and all that stuff, including the telephone booth and everything, is all gone. They literally demoed it all, hauled every item away. Even if it's a little piece of broken glass, there is nothing. Huh. And they planted stuff in all of its place so it all looks natural and there isn't shit.
Wow.
Have you been out there since then?
I have. I've gone out there a couple times because you can still take the dirt road. They obviously couldn't, make a 26-mile dirt road just disappear in one of the locations. It's pretty rough now, but you can. I think I took a Range Rover out there, and I know exactly because as soon as you go over the hill, at the top of the hill right down is where our cabin was, where I just showed you guys a photo of.
Yeah.
The ranch house, that was a different house, which was on the crossroads of down the road where you saw that cabin, or you go up to the Aiken Cinder Mine. There was our first home, which was called the ranch house, where I saw that first UFO or whatever you want to call it. Lit up, saucer. But all that stuff's gone. They made it all disappear.
Wow.
That's got to be surreal to go out there and be like, oh, yeah, this is where I was when I saw this. And it's just like, there's nothing there.
That's right.
Like, it's just raw land, the wilderness.
I dare to say, though, that we're all like, obviously, the very interesting things are these unidentified flying objects. But it sounds like to me that you growing up there, like, that wasn't the main thing. Like, that was just something.
No.
That was not like the main. Like, it sounds like you also had an interesting family that you were living with out there. Mm-hmm. And, I'm sure there's just day-to-day life things like, I don't know, snuggling with scorpions or like things that would, that was actually just everyday life as well, like including, but so are there any other things that people that you've shared with have found very interesting or different? I mean, I don't want to change it completely if you guys, but I just have a feeling it sounds like this is just normal life.
It is. I mean, there's so much, guys. Like I said, I'm probably going to write a book on it just because it's so unreal compared to how we live life now. To me, as a child growing up, it just seemed like normal life. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Me and my sister didn't know any better. Like, yes, it wasn't scorpions. It was tarantulas. And we played with tarantulas all the time. And we were never affected by tarantulas. And to this day, I don't even know if they're deadly or anything, honestly. Until
I don't know if they are either.
Until our parents caught us doing it, and then we got reprimanded. And they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I was like, "We do this all the time, I mean,
because we live in the desert, parents.
Because you won't get us a puppy."
Yeah. So, we never were affected by any of that stuff because we didn't consider that they would bite us or anything. I really don't know, but apparently, as soon as our parents, found out we were doing that, they ended that. It wasn't scorpions though, but
was there any wildlife that you were scared of out there?
Yeah, rattlesnakes.
Snakes.
Yeah. The green Mojave was we didn't like that at all.
The what?
Green Mojave. It's a rattlesnake. We called it a green Mojave.
Just a different species, so not like a diamondback.
Yeah, you can look it up. Green Mojave. I don't know.
Yeah.
Our father used to catch them and milk them for their venom, and he would sell the venom to colleges. Back then, they were trying to find antidotes or different things with venom. So one of the extracurricular things he would do is I remember we had, those freezers, those kind of lay down ones.
Like
I don't know.
chest
Deep freezer. Yeah.
Maybe you guys know that.
Yep.
And it's just full of rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was
Bodies of rattlesnakes?
that was on the back side of that cabin you saw. So on the exact opposite side, there was a huge freezer, and it was filled full of green Mojaves and diamondbacks and
The actual snake.
stuff. Yeah.
You just throw them in. Oh, and they're alive.
Yeah.
Oh.
He
so
would
the freezer
milk
was
the
not
venom.
operating.
No.
was
It's just a box. It's not like
Remember him saying that the electricity wasn't great,
I
but they
get
have a bomb deep freeze. Yeah, it's great. They had a walk-in closet, actually.
I actually thought, because my grandfather was a rancher out west, and when he caught them, he would stick them coiled up in the freezer, alive, close the door, and then when you open it again, it's kind of preserved, coiled up, ready to strike. So that's what I thought when you said that. But this is a non-working freezer full of
cage.
live rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
Your grandpa's got a weird kink. Like, I think it's just an awkward night for him.
I think it's just living in the desert. People do those kind of things. You live life totally like there's never this like, oh, my neighbor's coming over today, I better not do anything weird. It's like you just do whatever you want because you live far away from people, right?
That's right.
Like I was going to ask what was the nearest like town, or do you remember going into town to see a movie or like go to the grocery store? Like what was that like?
The nearest town, I guess maybe it would be SEMA or maybe Mountain Pass or something like that. There was another rare earth mine that was up the road. It was a place called Mountain Pass, where we eventually went to school. But yeah, the towns are very far away. I think maybe 26 miles or something, I think I recall, was the nearest small town, which was probably Mountain Pass.
It doesn't sound like there was a movie theater and a...
No, I mean, groceries, so every 2 weeks, or maybe it was once monthly or something, our family would drive, I remember, to Las Vegas. And I remember it was like a Safeway or an Albertsons or something like that. I vaguely recall we would grocery shop for the entire month. And so we'd only go, then we'd go back out to the Mojave Desert and that food would be stored and we would literally, everything was all planned out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm looking at Mountain Pass on the map.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing.
It's barely a mountain. It's barely a pass, but there's not fucking any, there's a bunch of rocks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's right off I-15.
Super close to Prim, which is not where you want to go hang out. There's nothing you want to... No one's ever been like, so I was in Prim last week. No one tells that story.
Yeah, Prim, I think I drive through there quite often. So.
Prim is the first like casino, I'm doing air quotes, from California when you get into Nevada.
Yeah.
It's right on the border between Nevada and California.
Right.
And you do not want to get caught there. Like, even if you need gas, just keep going. Push it.
It's out there.
I had to zoom in a long way to see Whiskey Pete's Hotel and Casino.
Oh, yeah, that's Prim.
Buffalo Bills. That's the only reason that you stop is to go ride that roller coaster.
Right.
Other than that, looks like there's probably some good meth.
Yeah, and by meth.
Adjacent.
You can see that on Google Maps.
I can. I actually got stoned off of it. I'm not going to sleep for a couple days.
And by the time you get out that far, like Buffalo Bills and all that, that's like out there. Like that, I can imagine driving 10, 15 miles off the road and there's just nothing. There's nothing out there.
I rode my dirt bike from Vegas to, what's that biker town? Laughlin? Laughlin, and then Laughlin to Prim.
Like on a trail?
On a just there's no trails. There's the desert. The desert is the trail.
Oh, you drove through the desert?
Yes.
Like
there is nothing. You drive between that. There is nothing in that window.
But cactus.
And even the cactus are trying to move.
Right.
Like there's nothing that's there.
So back to, you're in this remote place. You get food once a month. Maybe you drive into Vegas, it sounds like. And then you're just out there. What was school like for you growing up? Or did you have any?
Yeah. Yeah, we did. There's a place called Stuckey's. I don't know what it's called anymore, but Mountain Pass, they had a school. When I drive down I-15, I always look at it. It's still there. All the houses that used to be there, they did the same thing. They made them all disappear. It literally looks like a desert, like nothing was ever there.
Wow.
But the mine is still there because it's rare earth, like europium and iridium and all these other weird-ass metals that my father would collect.
The mine is right off the freeway. There's not a single thing besides that.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going. I'm just trying to tell people,
that's okay.
Give it like a description of what's there.
Trent's watching Google Earth while Ben describes it.
No, I'm on YouPorn now, but like when I was looking at it before, there was nothing.
Jesus. But how was school? It was interesting. It was. I remember wearing bell bottoms. I remember. It was very different than it is now. You know,
like what was your class size?
I don't know, maybe 15 people.
Yeah,
and then maybe there's 3 different age groups, so maybe 45 people total for the entire school or something.
And was that like a K through 12 all the way, or was that just an elementary?
I remember teenagers because I have this weird story of these teenage girls kissing me as a cute little boy, I guess, on the playground. So I think it was the whole range, but
Right.
And they were into like the new 80s, like Depeche Mode and all this wacky ass shit. Sorry. I can't get into it, but how was it? It was weird. I mean, you get your ass beat, you get your hands slapped with rulers, it's very old school, you know.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's like a blast from the past, you know what I mean? They didn't evolve even into the 80s. It was like old school, like
50s,
50s.
60s, yeah.
Literally, when you go to the principal, there's a paddle and you got your ass beat to death if you did anything wrong.
It's interesting how cultural and advancements, it does take a while to permeate through everywhere. Like these changes happen maybe on the coast or in what I would say bigger cities, but then it takes a while for other areas to adopt them. Like,
well, it would take a while to even hear about it.
That's
right,
true.
exactly, because they're cut off. You're right. It's like, what? We're not allowed to beat kids' asses anymore? That's weird. You know? It's like, it's different. Like when I went to a different school from that school, it was such a drastic change. I didn't understand what the fuck just happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You went to a more mainstream school, you're saying. Yeah, like
exactly.
A bigger city.
Yeah, well, I moved from the Mojave Desert to Utah for a couple of years to live with my mother because we were raised by our father and our stepmother.
Yeah.
And when I moved to Utah, we went to Columbia Elementary. No, the Columbia? I think it was Columbia Elementary. And that's just like Columbia still exists. You can drive down in West Jordan and there's Columbia Elementary. You know what I mean?
Huh.
But it's a lot different. You know, it wasn't like that. You know, I just don't know what to say. And then when I moved back, I moved to Las Vegas. So it's kind of like an in-between. So it's like Mojave Desert, 50s, beat your ass. Nevada still fucked up. Then, you know, Utah's like, this is pretty good. You know what I mean? They're not beating my ass and, you know, hurting me and like degrading me in front of everybody. And yeah, I don't know.
So it was pretty rough out there at school.
I mean, if you don't know anything different, no, it's like fucking, beat his ass for being a dumbass.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, fucking fine.
He's been playing with a freaking make-believe Indian in the front yard.
Yeah, it's like people are just, I don't know. I think they're getting a little too weak. You know what I mean? Like things.
We do need to beat the kids.
I don't know about.
Especially
I don't know
your
about.
kids,
I don't know
Phil.
about beating the kids, but like, if you can't like handle a situation with the right amount of force to like handle it, then it's like, you know, you're allowing bullshit to continue. You know what I mean? Like
They call it laying on of hands.
Yeah, it is the laying on of hands. No, but I agree, because what happens now from my wife is a teacher, when kids kind of spiral down a non-disciplined path and they just become uncontrollable, and then they wash out of school. Right. They just, they're in the 9th grade, the 8th grade, and they say, we can't handle you, so you're expelled. Now they're out on the, they're wandering the street during the day or whatever. When in theory, if they could just be beat, then, I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
But back in the day, in the school you grew up with, there probably weren't kids that were just like terrorizing all the time because
nobody terrorized anything. Nobody swore. Nobody did drugs. Nobody broke the rules. They just, you don't do that because that's like, you just don't do that because, man, that's like, obviously the adults don't dig that. You know? And that's the way it is. And then eventually you learn, like, maybe they're onto something. Maybe it actually isn't cool to like do drugs or to hurt people or to be a prick or to not like do your schoolwork and not learn. It's like, I think they were onto something. I'm not saying it's okay to hit kids or anything like that, but it's like, if a rattlesnake's biting you or attempting to bite you, are you going to like, what amount of effort are you going to put forth to stop it from doing that? Like, hey man, don't do that. I can't hear you because you can sue me. Or, what amount of effort are you going to put forth to like ensure that you don't get your ass bit by a snake?
You're going to cut its head off.
Fuck it takes.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. And you will never bite me ever. Understood? It's like, understood. Yeah. Because that shit's not cool.
I think what's missing nowadays, and it was definitely well established in a physical sense a long time ago, is that there's consequences to actions, and people need to realize that they can't just do whatever and everything's acceptable. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what happens now. Is like, it doesn't matter what you do, even if you lose, you're going to get a trophy. It's okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't. There's no consequence to sucking at basketball,
right?
Because everyone's going to get a trophy. Right?
Well, you're just going to set everybody up to lose. You're never going to win in life.
Right. And so, like, when kids would do something that was wrong, people would, like in your school, they would hit them with a ruler or whatever. I don't necessarily think that's a good idea, but I think it is trying to get the point across of like, hey, you did this, the consequence is now this. And that's, cause and effect. And, that's a message that I think gets missed a lot is people don't realize, oh, if I do this, then it's going to create this kind of effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I kind of lucked out though. My father had a different point of view, which was interesting. Like he always got me to participate in like, hey, well, take a look. What do you think? Do you think that's survival or do you think that's okay? Or what about it is okay? He would let me look at it and dissect it. And I would usually come to the conclusion with, that's actually not cool. I wouldn't like that. He never... this was later on in life at about 13. Before that, it was belts and beat your ass to death. But at some point, he got to the point where he got me to look for myself, to make decisions for myself and to understand life myself. And when I was able to do that, I was able to be a good person. Based upon my own decisions and observations about life.
So you don't seem to resent your parents for raising you in the middle of the desert.
I don't resent anybody. I think that was the greatest childhood ever.
Yeah? You loved it.
Oh, my mother thinks I had the worst childhood known to man. She cries to this day because my mother she feels really bad about it. And do I care? I literally don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, I love my mom and I love my dad. I love everybody. My childhood was great. I would not change a damn thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I starved. Yes, I didn't have clothes. Yes, we moved all the fucking time. But if you think about it, it was such an amazing adventure. If you were a cowboy and you didn't have any food and you didn't have any clothes and you're, going across the, plains to fucking rob the fucking cattle, whatever adventure you're mocking up, it's going to have starving. It's going to have moving around. It's going to have fucking hard times. It's going to have great times. Yes, you're not going to have the stylish fucking clothes. Like, I look at it and I go, that was the greatest adventure ever as a child.
Stuff that our kids will never, like, even hear about. It's like Phil's kids have no clothes. And that's because Phil doesn't have clothes.
We don't like clothes.
Yeah, he doesn't believe in them. But, like, there's no struggle in our kids' lives. No.
There was no struggle in our lives.
There was no struggle in mine. I don't even consider it a struggle. These fuckers are pussies. I'm sorry.
Right.
The truth
You're
is,
100% right.
you literally don't even know what a struggle is.
It's like, oh, my tweet didn't leave.
I didn't get enough likes on my scorpion bite.
I don't have good service.
Truly, and then, like, I remember, back when you didn't have call waiting, and literally it was like, my friends hate me, but I'm going to go find them.
Yeah.
And you went and found them, and you forced them to be your friends.
Yeah, that's right.
Trent, open up.
Trent, open up. Calling a friend, hey, is Phil there? All right, I'll call back. And 5 minutes later, Phil there?
Yeah.
Is Phil there?
I'll just go over there.
Kids think they have it hard. Like, they literally fucking don't even know what hard is. And even when I was a kid, I don't even consider that hard.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Tell me, are you going to die? No, you're not.
Yeah.
It's still not hard. It's just different.
Right. It's just different. I know I'm not going to die. Like, yes, I don't have food and I don't have cool clothes and shit. And I don't have any fucking toys, but there'll be enough food that I'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
So talk about that a little bit. You said there were times when you went hungry, and you used the word starved. Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, my father decided at a certain point that he was done with being a miner, basically, meaning, working in mines.
Yeah.
And he decided to be like an entrepreneur or something, and that's where the moving all started. And, he wouldn't pay the bills, and I just remember it was very tough. Like, we would go to the grocery store with like $50, and I remember it's like he would buy like big bags of fucking beans that we'd have to boil, big pots, because he can get a giant bag for like $4 or something. And we'd boil beans with vinegar all night long, and we'd have to eat fucking beans for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for weeks on end. You know what I mean? And then rice things and, just weird shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because of poverty, you know what I mean? But so, like, I'm still, like, I don't get it. Like, people act like victims, or they just accept what is and make the best out of it and have an attitude towards life. Like, I took that shitty situation and ensured that I made sure that I studied and got educated on my own steam. I'm not talking about college or any of that other horse shit. Myself, and I pulled myself up by my own bootstraps. Instead of living in shanties or trailer parks, I own my own company with Jeff and Sandra. And, I've turned myself into what I would never allow for my children or my family. Not because that was bad, but because I just wanted a little bit more for my kids. If my kids experienced what I experienced, they would be as fucking awesome as I am. Like, you can be a shit and blame things on other people and scenarios and all this other shit and pretend that thing makes you who you are, incapable and a loser and everything else. Or you can go ahead and take life by the horns and go, I am who I am, and what happened in my past does not determine or dictate who I am or what I'm going to accomplish or what I'm going to do. Because people need to realize there's now and there's consecutive nows. There is no past. That shit's fucking gone.
Yeah.
So that's my attitude towards it, and that's what I stuck to and did, and I never considered anything was ever bad. If I bought into that, it would make me weak. It would make me not succeed. So I never bought into, my daddy didn't buy me anything. Fuck that. That means I'm the effect of something and I'm not cause. Something else causes my existence. And I wasn't into that.
Wow. Well, this has been a great episode. I think we got to have you back because it sounds like there's a lot more story there, a lot more interesting things to talk about. But essentially, you went from living in the desert, seeing ghosts and theoretical aliens or UFOs of some kind, you know, moved all around, had a rough time. But look at it from this perspective that you loved it. Like all those things that were hard or that we would perceive as hard made you who you are. That like it sounds like you wouldn't have changed it.
Not one minute.
I like
ever.
It. So you heard it here first on the American Forked podcast. Thank you for joining us. You can check us out on our website, Twitter, Facebook, all those dumb things. But the real important thing is the Patreon, where you can go on and donate to our show. It helps support something, I think, like the drinks that we drink or I don't know. But it is important, right?
Yeah. It pays for this luxurious studio and just it justifies why we can leave our wives and children at home by themselves.
Yeah.
Right, Trent?
And actually tell some pretty cool stories as we did today. I'm really glad we had you on, Ben.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much.
We'll have to do it again sometime.
Thanks for making it.
Yeah. So anyway, good night and good luck and something.
Good morning.
And good morning, whatever time you listen to this stupid thing.
Amongst the cinders, and lightning from afar, the silence holds us hindered, beneath an ocean of stars. 'Cause life ain't that hard when you have found a friend. 'Cause you need that arm to pull on your way.